To get a fire extinguisher. That goes in the house for my car. Yeah. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Let's get.
We have a technical difficulties.
Just a minor one, I think, but that's okay. So I think it was. I don't know if it
Let's
did.
get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Clap your hands. Get some more. Just get some more.
Why, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access show where craft whiskey is king, with myself and my co-host this evening, Mike. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. We appreciate it. Sorry, there was a minor technical difficulty there, but before we go further, let's remind everyone, we are a proud part of the Bar Cart Co-op with other wonderful shows like Bourbon Turntable and Distillers Talk. Remember to stop in and check those out. Oops, we're having all sorts of little mini difficulties. It's all the fire. I got all excited about the fire. That we don't do that. Basically, I was gonna say Gavin started Cub Scouts. Don't start with lighter fluid. No. Just a terrible idea.
And don't use bug spray. Don't do that. As a sometimes is called scout leader fire starter. Don't do that.
Oh, and from one-time personal experience, do not blow 151 into it to start it either.
Yeah, don't use gas.
Well, it wasn't gas; it was rum. But
that is basically 151 is basically gas. But like the guy in the video, yeah, don't do that. My grandma's I guess I don't know what. Do you have step grandparents? But she had gotten remarried, and this guy he had done. And he put some kerosene on the fire to get this fire going more. And he was old when he did this, and he stopped, dropped, and rolled and everything else, but ultimately ended up dying in the hospital.
Oof.
So let that be a lesson to you.
Yeah, don't play around with it. Just a little fire safety before we start the campfire.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Are you sure? I'm not sure if that's true.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. Only you can prevent wildfires.
I mean, I guess
that's
it's
right,
true.
Smokey.
It's true. He was telling the truth. So, all right. Oh, wait. Before we go any further.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's tell everyone
go ahead.
What's going on. I'll put it.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification to find out when new episodes come out, which are usually Monday nights and usually live. Share the episodes and links with your family and friends, and leave a comment down below or with the nice people in the chat if you are watching along live on a Monday night.
Yes, and this evening we are talking about campfire whiskeys. Not necessarily fireside, because a lot of times you can be indoors for that, but just as the weather starts to turn, there's a lot of people that will be having campfires more frequently. And what is your whiskey of choice when that happens? And a little bit of why. Because I think that's a big thing. And there's different reasons if maybe you're by yourself or if you're in a group. So, and I'm going to remind people too, safety. A lot of times at campfires, that dozing glass, not the best. So there are metal ones out there. There are plastic ones. Guess what? There's also just
and there's that
good
too.
Old flask, one of those ones that nothing's getting damaged.
This bad boy here is my outdoor glass of choice, double walled. So if it's warm outside, it takes a lot for it to warm up the whiskey inside, unless you want it to warm up that whiskey inside, which sometimes can be kind of nice. But the Noser glass, not sponsored, NOSR.
Mm-hmm.
It's lovely.
It's one that you should actually see out there, because no one wants to see anything shattered, and that all that takes is a simple accident, not someone being drunk. Sometimes just a shift of a chair outside, and Now people are cleaning up glass. And if you have friends like mine, they like to go barefoot. Awesome. So do your best to avoid that. So Mike, what's one of the whiskeys that you have on your list? Or I can give you one that's on mine. I got kind of excited when I started thinking about
You're excited. Go ahead and throw down.
All right. One that is high on my list. I kind of did a craft whiskey and more of an attainable whiskey one, just for people out there. One's high on my list for campfire whiskeys is just this. You could go cask strength, but really just the standard Elijah Craig. It is a simple whiskey that if something does happen, it's not the end of the world. It has nice enough flavors. You can mix it. Anyone can grab the bottle and do whatever they want with it. You're not going to be upset. You shouldn't be anyways, but we all have that friend that gets liberal with pours at some point. That's a really easy one. That's one a lot of people can get. One that I would for sure have. That's kind of a standard one. One I would have at a campfire personally is Four Roses Single Barrel. I like that one even more than the small batches. I know I'm an absolute nut because everyone goes the other way, but I prefer the single barrel releases, and it just has a really nice, solid bottle design. It looks cool outside. The flavors are bold enough for a campfire that sticks around, but it's not overly aggressive or distracting if you're having a conversation. It's just got a nice little punch to it, especially at cask strength. So I don't know. Those are two easy ones. And I'm going to throw another light one in there that I think most people will enjoy. Whiskey Row.
Yeah.
Very approachable. One you can enjoy when you're by the campfire, without ice even, really, in my opinion. I mean, you can water it down, but I think that's unnecessary unless you get the cask strength version. But approachable to everybody. And that's sometimes by the campfire, if you're having a group of people, can be an important part of it. It's just making it accessible and fun for everyone that evening. Then I have one that would just make everyone jump, and it's a Flaming Heart by Compass Box. Is on my list too. It leans into the campfire. It leans into the richness. You almost feel like you're stepping into the fire after you have that. I'm going to have some Flaming Heart here in a little bit. But that's one that leans more into my reflective side of things. Maybe not necessarily a bunch of people, that more just be a one or, couple friends or yourself by the campfire with something like that, just because it demands a little more attention than the other ones. So, but those are all on my more attainable list. What were a couple on your list, Mike?
I see. I did my list as I didn't really break it down as attainable or craft or stuff like that, because there's different moods, like when I go out there and have the whiskey, because I use, like, when I do the fire, I've got a lot of oak and I've got a lot of juniper, and juniper is really good to help me get it going, but it also gets that really nice smell out with the burning. And so I like to have stuff that kind of complements it, almost like a cocktail in a way. Because one thing, I don't usually go for smoky whiskey at the fire because I'm already getting the fire. So I'll do something like a rye or a high rye whiskey, like Wilderness. I've got a Wilderness Trail single barrel pick of the rye, or Maddie Gladden, who Maddie goes with everything, let's be honest. Or actually, I started out with my pours tonight, a Ranger Creek, the Tejas Rye, finished in cider casks. This is really, really nice by the fire. It's a very nice whiskey anyway, but then you get all the smoke and everything with it. Or I might even go harsh. I'll say harsh rye, but you know what I mean. Pikesville, something with some
Bite.
kick to it.
Bite to it.
On the other side of that is I do tend to like some stuff that's got a sherry finish to it, because I like that sweetness along with that smoke. So I'm kind of getting them both at the same time. So I'll go Scotch route on some of those. And one of my favorites, the Aberlour Abuna,
Yes.
I love that one. Or even non-Scotch will be the Rua Sherry. This is really great by a fire. Just really great in general. One of the other ryes that I thought about too, the Catoctin Creek Cast Strength Rye. That's pretty damn nice by the fire.
That one popped up on mine too. I was gonna say when it on more of the craft side, that was one that I remember, and just out of nowhere when it like came into my head, I'm like, just the flavors in that, adding the smoke into it, or just breathing it in, bringing it in through your nose when you're in that situation, it's gonna happen. It's supposed to soak into your nostrils and your palate a little bit. So that was one I'm happy to see that one popped up, and odd because we've had so many different ones in that realm that's the one that popped up. But the Roundstone Rye Cast Strength I think would be excellent with that.
Yeah, Catoctin Creek does not mess around with their rye. They are solid in their rye whiskeys, and that cast strength is something else. But I've also got like a couple of craft ones that I've gotten that are different in what makes them up, but the flavors I like them because they are they're flavorful without having a woody impact on them already. And one of them is the Wood Hat Bloody Butcher Red. Because it's just got a very unique butterscotch caramel, little apple and nutty and everything else, but not very woody. So then that with the smoke, I do really like that. And then also the Glens Creek OCD number 5, which I got down here. Glens Creek with just because it's a pretty good high enough proof. It's over 50, but just really nice and layered and buttery, and that's just really great by the smoke.
So are you leaning more into like a higher proof, or is it more a bold flavor?
It's more about flavor, but there's a couple of them I do have that I listed with the high flavors, because sometimes you're getting warm, especially when it gets colder. You're getting warmed by the fire, but sometimes you want the warm on the inside too, and you want to feel that where it just kind of runs down. And that's when I've got like Jack Single Barrel Proof, or which I'll be nursing this one maybe till the day I die, but the Hubris Hazmat.
Anything that drinks 20 points under whatever it is always exciting.
Or Russell's Reserve Single Barrel and Single Barrel Rye. Those are really, really nice to have by the fire too. But the higher proof, I generally like. Jack Single Barrel Proof is so attainable. And if you that warm hug of the proof, you can get it anywhere, and it's reasonably priced anywhere.
It's okay. I agree with you completely. Now, were you talking in that line? It was just a barrel proof Jack, or was it the rye? Because there are 3 of them are kind of in that lineup that are attainable.
I have never been able to have the single barrel proof rye, but I have had the single barrel rye. Which is single barrel is rye. It's single barrel rye. It's fine, but I'm just curious. I imagine the experience of single barrel proof rye is similar to single barrel proof, where it's just like a wash down your body.
It is.
As you're having that,
Jack is like those versions of Jack are, and I don't even like to talk about them. One of the probably the most underrated whiskeys at a reasonable price, still at a reasonable price.
And from such a small distillery.
Just a tiny distillery. Just
They'll never run out.
Getting enough to put out some to every store.
Yeah, they will never run out.
Yeah, but I think it's like 55, maybe 60 still around here, and it's hard to argue that. The only thing I found recently that was on our trip was they had Traverse City barrel strength or barrel proof bourbon. It was $25.99.
Yeah,
I had to buy it. Even if there's something wrong with it, it's still like, this is still drinkable. We could mix it with something and make it. Ooh.
Yeah, make a good cocktail. That's a good
Underrated.
one. And I mourn the loss of my old Poltony 12. That was a fantastic bottle. I really dug that one quite a bit. we don't talk about Scotch a whole lot on here because we're focusing on a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, but
Um,
do you think Scotch
yeah.
flavors in general might lean more towards the campfire?
I do, but I don't like. I really like me some smoky Scotch. I like my Kilholmans and Ardbegs and Lafroigs but I have to say I'd go for more of the softer side of smoke, like Lagavulin by the fire versus the others. The only other ones, it's not Ardbeg smoky, but I've got that one, that Pete's Beast, because it's very peated and very sherry. And but it's not like a bomb in the peat, but man, is it a sherry bomb. That's pretty darn nice by the fire too, just because you just get the sweetness of that sherry mixed in with all, the wood that's coming in. It is kind of like having a little cocktail, which I do enjoy having, like a nice Manhattan by the fire too. But it's kind of like making a smoked cocktail with what's in your glass, just because you get that, just all those nice wood smoke flavors. And I tend to mix the wood in the fire pit too when I'm doing it.
Oh, like hickory and cherry or something?
Yeah, I'll start the fire with a little bit of oak, but it'll have a base of juniper because it'll really get going. And juniper sparks a lot, so you don't want to load it up a lot. But man, it gets that smell going, just that nice herbal smell from the juniper. It's pretty nice. It's like cedar, but not as dangerous to burn in a fire pit. but it goes up. It goes up pretty good when you start it.
Talisker, and the one that you brought up Talisker, and I popped this one up here because Talisker Storm is one of the first scotches I had that was more of, I'll be honest, one of the first scotches I had in general, and I loved it. And that's like when it first came out, really, really reasonably priced, but like later on that day, I felt like I was breathing out campfire still. And it was like rolling through my nose. I was going to say it was that, I think, is really equatable to me to like a campfire is the Storm version of Talisker. I was going to say that just that more or less the remnants or aftertaste, the finish that really encapsulates it for me. So I've down that road.
I've seen the Storm recently, or in the $40 range, the lower 40 range. But man, right after that came out, I don't know what happened, but it came out, and then I saw it a lot of places in the $30 range, like all over the place. It was everywhere, and it's still, the price I don't think is really shot back up, and I don't know why that is, but there's not a single thing wrong with that, unless it was just too early with the age horse that they
it could have been
part of the deal.
I think it just it started out low, like you said. When I first even saw it, it was in the 30s, and I was like, or like I think it was 2 for $25 was the special at Woodman's, and I was like, well, yeah. Well, we'll see what this is like, and even if we don't like it, we'll drink it happily.
Exactly. Yes.
But that's one that I was gonna say is a good one to eat like, because that's a solid choice to be going down that path. Other one, let's see here. Ones that I had for actually, like, this is more of the, I don't want to say, it is kind of the craft, the smaller side, but what I saw was, interestingly, when I was looking at this, were some of the bottles, when I was looking more at the craft, was probably more on the reflective side, not the big party side of things when you're having everyone by a campfire. Couple ones in here, if you can find Icarus, that is a wonderful one, because it gives you the sherry and the smoky peaty finish of someplace that possibly starts with an L from Scotland, that finished and married together. It's a wonderful whiskey. It's one that makes your mind work. You know what I mean? You can sit there, you can stare into the fire, and you can lose yourself in trying to figure out what's going on. Another one on that one. We just tried it recently here, and it is a little bit more available, is Cedar Ridge's Quintessential. I could easily sit down with that by a campfire and be happy. A little bit lighter than some of the other things we've been talking about here. probably proof wise and also flavor wise, but still very complex and well married, enough time to give your brain enough to break it apart and really kind of have a nice evening with it. If I was doing any of G. Henry's kind of finished ones or their anniversary blends, 5-year would be fine, but I think the other ones for me is where I would lean with that, just to give it that little extra torque to make you think about what's going on. Got Matty Gladden on there, but that's because you can have that bottle next to you. That's even more of a party one. It's a story in and of itself, and then the whiskey wins on its own. So I mean, you
can have Maddie all day, every day. She's never let me down.
But I was noticing that as I was going through here, and maybe one or two other ones, is that I changed what I wanted by the amount of people, or what I thought would be acceptable to the bigger group of people, as far as what I was leaning into. So I don't know what I would do if I was having a bigger group of whiskey people over, because I don't know if it would change. You might want to build on top of it. I don't want everyone being quiet and reflective, or just in awe the whole time. You want to spurn the conversation. So I don't want to you don't want to jaw drop people the whole night either. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was weird that the finished ones really kind of picked up on that edge for that, and not as many ryes for me. And that sounds dumb, but like you were mentioning,
but you're not a rye guy.
No, but there are some ryes, except for the Catoctin Trico, I was saying that have bold flavors that kind of stand up to what's going on in the situation. You know, like there's a lot of ryes that can be very dominant, without being anise filled, black licorice, those terrible flavors.
So yeah, when you you were talking about with the quantity of people, if I'm going out to sit by the fire pit by myself and do my fire pit therapy, that's usually when I'll definitely will grab something that's like the sherry finish, like the Ablina or the Rua Sherry or something like that, because it's just me and I can just sit there and just enjoy and have this thing evolve while I'm in my own thoughts out there looking at the fire, which is I mean, in sharing with people, you're talking everything else. So you're not really getting, I don't think you're going to get the experience of everything, but definitely the fire pits are just, well, like anything else, and definitely whiskey, a lot more fun and tastes better when you are sharing it with a bunch of other people.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back because I missed this for a second here. It's great in a sour.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you the Talisker Storm is wonderful in a caramel latte.
Ooh. Okay.
Sounds absolutely crazy, but it is fantastic in a caramel latte. Mix it in there. It'll be a world changer in the morning. I'm serious.
We were talking in the group chat earlier about sours and stuff, and a whiskey sour with egg white and smoky whiskey. That is like, if I go out somewhere and get the cocktail, I will ask for one of those. And Talisker, I have not tried it with Talisker. My two favorites so far, though, are Lafroig 10 and Connemara Peated Irish.
Ooh,
and that one, and the Connemara, I never would have done the Connemara, not because I don't like it or anything, but I actually met with the Ewalds, and they were out of whatever they were asking for. And the guy's like, "Hey, we got Connemara," and they tried it, and I asked how it was, and Adina is like, "It's good." Like, well, if Adina says it's good, it's pretty good. So I've substituted that one in there too, and that's and more the saltier smoke is better in the sour, I think, than the burnt meat smoke like of the Ardbeg, because I've had it with Ardbeg, I didn't like it quite as much.
Be a little more abrasive on that realm. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cough at you.
I will say that there's a couple that are not officially whiskeys, but there's a couple I do like a nice apple brandy, like the old Clifty apple brandy, which is another one akin to Miss Maddie. The other one, this one, I have got to find a replacement for this stuff. If you are around Iowa, can get over to Iowa. I think maybe Nebraska, other states get this too, from our old friends there at Cat's Eye. this Cat's Eye Krupnik.
Hmm.
This stuff, you can't even pick up. See, it looks a little murky. That's because it is. This is, it is 60%, and it is. Let's see where it is made with honey, cinnamon, vanilla, and other spices. This is cold weather. Perfect, like in the glass and everything. It's a little sticky. It's sweet. It's got all these spices to it. I have to say, this is clearly an enjoyable one to have by the fire too, even though it's not a whiskey, but I guess it's a whiskey specialty is what you'd call it. I would try to find it if you can. I highly recommend this, the Cat's Eye Krupnik.
It's an interesting spirit. You know what I mean? It's another one of those ones that's got you can see all the stuff floating around in there.
Yeah. And it's probably that last drink is probably going to be the best one because it's going to have all the leftovers that ran back down into the bottle. Yeah. But it's pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Matt Bayes in the chat. Good to see you, Matt. Spencer brings. Which strain of hands are you talking about? They have a few releases, and we had one recently. I forget which one it was. Was it Diamond Peak?
Diamond Peak.
That was pretty damn tasty.
Yeah.
I was going to say that brought my attention back around to them. Not to say I was back burnering them per se, but I had some stuff that wasn't always like, and that one came back to that was a damn good whiskey.
Yeah. That would be good. I haven't had porter in a while. Honestly, another one that I had, it actually got killed at the fire pit. I got a bottle of Manley's Old Fashioned from our friend Heather Manley, and I opened it one night. It went to a fire pit the next night, and it was gone. And it hit the spot perfectly. Everybody enjoyed it. It was a fantastic pass around for everyone to go and pour their little old fashioned, and it was good stuff.
And I do have some respect for that stuff, Emily. It just too much. Sometimes it's just too much for me.
Well, and depending on the level of it too, I mean, maybe with the right, influence of outdoor smoke, maybe you might find one that it doesn't offend you so much.
Yeah. Let's see, what else did I have that I was thinking of that was big? Well, as far as like going into the fall, what is not apple cider, but apple pie, if done correctly, like at Old Time Spirits, is one that you could have by the fire. That's something could pass around to be just fine. Not a whiskey, but a different spirit that could fill into that realm. I could see Colin Keegan's apple brandy finished.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Would land into that realm. Into that realm a lot. Encapsulates a lot of that extra stuff, gets that extra finish, gets a little extra flavor, but that smoke, and then adds the mesquite going in. It'd be interesting to do that. Now I'm intrigued. That would almost be like a good fall trial, is kind of like making fires with different wood and trying different stuff with it to see if that actually affects what you're doing. I mean, it does when you're making a smoked cocktail. I mean, just being around it, I think, might make a difference.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of hickory wood instead of a bunch of cherry wood versus mesquite. I don't know where you're going to find that. But then I'd have to like rotisserie something over the fire as well too while we're doing it.
Yeah, and maybe I get adventurous sometime, because I've got I do have some mesquite, and I wonder about some mesquite in there with the fire. Maybe still keeping some of the juniper in there, and seeing what happens with brimstone. Throwing that in there with it. That's a lot of smoke.
That's a lot. I would agree.
And
with that.
maybe while eating a brisket sandwich too. That.
So if you're gonna go down that hole, go down that hole. Speaking about going down that hole, we have some shows coming up.
We have some holes.
Few shows. You were talking about food. I started thinking about hot dogs with mustard. But our next show was like a couple days away. It's not on our channel though. It's on the Bar Cart Co-op channel on Facebook and on YouTube. It is the Wheat Whiskey Wednesday Blind Challenge. We have an array of guests coming on besides just Mike and myself. Kevin's going to moderate because, let's be honest,
he's got the silky voice.
He does. He's got a nice charge of everybody.
Yeah, he does.
So he's in charge. Stop over for that. We're doing a blind tasting on that one. We're going to see if we can't figure out some of who the best wheat whiskeys in the game right now are. So as the reveal is going to be neat because not only with that, I think we're working towards doing stuff like that a little more often where maybe it might not just be the panel that gets to try it. Maybe the next one I might get to send out a couple sample sets to people in the audience and other channels to try. So it's kind of the forerunner to that. So stop in for that. It's going to be a really, really interesting show, especially with the way wheat whiskey is and how coveted some versions of wheat whiskey are. I think you're going to see some of these other brands, not knowing what they are, stand up to that level because that was kind of where the conversation came from. Is in a blind, how does this all like rank out? Because wheat can be interesting.
And I got clarified because I in a conversation with the moderator, I said something about something about throwing Weller in there just for a comparison. And he said, we're not doing wheated bourbons. We're doing wheated whiskey. So at least it's like, all right, so we're going full on wheat. We can do that. Which
I like.
I'm
sorry. I mean, if you're giving the grain the forward, you might as well lean into that section of it. So
I'd be really interested to hear comments from specifically Lisa and Alan, but Steve, will be curious about him because he's been around the block a few times, so I'm sure he's
and sometimes everyone has different viewpoints. So sometimes I'm right on, and every now and then I'm like opposite. So it's good to have that in a conversation, just because a lot of times that'll help your spurn thought in your own head, or at least kind of churn it to like relook at it and be like, okay, am I hitting this the way I am? Am I missing it? Where is it at? So I always love that part of it. Besides Wednesday, and if you're going to be by a fire, get a pipe.
Got to get a pipe and a pith helmet.
It makes the campfire that much more exciting. Then after Wednesday, then the next Monday, which is the 3rd of October, we are going to be recapping the little trip we had this past weekend and doing a review of the Dog and Shrub Cask Strength Rye that we received from Ed, who is the assistant distiller there, but is on the Rock Gut review. So we're going to be going over some of the stuff at the distilleries, things we liked, things we didn't, some interesting parts of the trip. And it will be with the Ewalds who are there. Kevin is going to be showing up kind of right on time. The Ewalds might be like 15 minutes late. And my friend Matt, who tagged along for the trip as well, too, because he was going on tours kind of for the first time, or at least as, being exposed to it as in-depth as he was. And I liked getting some of his comments throughout the weekend or afterwards because they were a little different viewpoint from everyone else's, or it was interesting to hear his views or thoughts as things were happening, I should say. It's just a different viewpoint on stories. But we're going to be talking about 5 or 6 distilleries we went to. So it should be a good little discussion and another guide to help you people know places to where to stop. So when we go on trips, we're going to be trying to bringing up these people's names and then having them hopefully on the show later on, like a couple of them are already scheduled to do so. But after that, because Mike's been scheduling hard, man. He's been on fire. The weekend after?
Sure. Yeah. That's right, folks. October 10th. It's John Prine's birthday. I'll be celebrating in my house. I'm sure you all be celebrating in yours. We have a crossover show with the boys from Bourbon Turntable. We will be making the Handsome Johnny cocktail, which was John Prine's cocktail of choice. I will be making hot dogs for dinner that night.
Bring that up so you can actually see it.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, look it up. It should be should be fun.
It's a very simple cocktail, but I'm gonna ruin it right now and say I'm not putting diet. I just can't do diet. I can't do it. But I will follow in perpetuity with everything else. Sorry. Are you going to look down on me? Are you going to look down on me if I don't?
I'm not going to look. I'm not.
It sounded like you're
the only reason. No.
Judgment.
You can do whatever you want with a cocktail. John had said the only reason to diet because you don't want it to be too sweet. So, but I'm not a ginger ale aficionado. I'm sure there's a ginger ale that doesn't taste like a thrift store shoe. not a huge fan, but I'm willing to try.
Willing to give it a go. So yeah, and then later on the 24th, Shannon Hood will be on to talk about Poorly Educated and her career and where she's kind of headed out at. And if you don't know, or you're in Louisville, I know she's putting on a tasting on October 6th in Louisville. Mm-hmm. So if you have some free time over there, that would be definitely something to go to kind of get you prepped for what we'll be talking about. Hell, you'll get to experience it firsthand. That's a pretty sweet thing. Because she's putting on some big events. They're not small ones a lot of the times that she's doing. Some of them are pretty sizable, which is what I want to discuss. Because other people who have kind of, I don't want to say left the game, but went out on their own, are doing things that are fairly contained in the tasting world when they do things, not having a large mass of people. And I think scale in that matter is a big deal when you're putting on a tasting. Yeah.
Shannon's not messing around.
So
loaded. Yeah. And then maybe a brandy month in November.
Brandy month in November. Yeah, it's working on that. And there'll be some good ones in there. There'll be definitely tastings, and there's lining up of people. There's some good ones out there. That too, there'll probably be a couple sample sets that people can win, because that's when I want people to try. It's not something we have. It's not something I usually have. And I'll be honest, a lot of times, even in the brandy world, I may like something, but it's not like, damn, that was neat. So we have kind of some classics as far as that realm is looked at, and we have some other unique kind of twists on stuff. So I'm liking where it's setting up to be. So sometime November, maybe early December, in that ballpark, we'll be doing that section of that. So just, that's about the time you're having brandy anyways. I mean, it's kind of fall, kind of holiday season. At least it was for my family. It's kind of the holiday season. So, sorry, just catching up on that. Oh, yeah, you guys are all fast out there. Yeah, you guys are.
Everybody's just thrown out. Emily's on point again, as always.
You can get fermented. Yeah, that would actually be a good idea.
Good. I mean, we're planning it. Well, I'm planning on making the Handsome Johnny with both lemon and lime. Maybe if I get a hold of regular and diet, maybe I'll make 4, and we'll just see how it goes.
Very cool. And Matt, we'll talk about that. Me, I'm probably not getting out anymore this year for whiskey trips. I believe that I have run that limit with the wife this year. But next year I might be able to start putting things on the docket again, because that's another neat place. I was going to say there's a couple more places in the Midwest that are not getting as much attention. Even I want to go down to see Mike, because Kansas City is another place that, in that short vicinity, you have 6-7 different distilleries. You know what I mean? Within maybe 20 minutes drive of each other, so really easy to.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
So I know you're 8 hours from Louisville.
Sure.
By car.
Yes.
So what are you? Are you in the 4-ish hour range to St. Louis?
Find out.
Because I'm just going to throw this out there. I have met Kevin and Mitch came over from Louisville because it's 4 hours from Louisville to St. Louis, and it was about 4 hours. We met at Stumpy's, so we all did day trips, and the Ewalds too. The Ewalds did a day, and the Robinsons did day trips. So I'm just saying, if you could arrange just doing a day trip
to St. Louis, or to your house.
St. Louis.
St. Louis is 7 hours and 31 minutes.
Holy balls.
Yep.
There just must not be a good route for you then.
Nope. And if I go down through Madison, it's both the same. 7.5 hours. Be easier to fly to you. I don't know what it is. But yeah, longer than I thought. Maybe it's just traffic at the time. I mean,
yeah,
Google does start accounting for those things now.
Well, I guess it depends on the highway out. You might have to go around or something to get to St. Louis. Makes it a little more difficult.
But no, we'll look
All
at
right.
that. I like those. I like all the ideas of travel plans for next year. There's about 3 or 4 places. We just gotta whittle it down. But yeah, that whole area's got some great stops. Maybe we can get a bus.
Yeah, and there's more popping up around in Missouri, especially around the St. Louis area. I mean, there's still 630 and a few others. Woodhead, of course, but
yeah,
all that good stuff.
So, I don't know. I think I'm good here. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna make one more drink here.
Yeah, I'm on the cast strength Catoctin Creek right now, and that's.
Oop! I grabbed the wrong one. I grabbed Tim's
Yeah.
donation of Widow Jane, and that's hiding out for a while longer.
You mentioned, you mentioned Cole Keegan, and I am out of Cole Keegan, but we're probably due to talk with Colin again. But they are now shipping to almost everybody right out of the distillery.
Yep, right out of the.
So yeah, if you want to get your Cole Keegan on, you might want to do that because it's really good. It's really, really good whiskey.
And I believe they have an apple brandy as well too.
Yeah,
because that's where they get the barrels for their apple brandy finish is their own brandy. Those apples come from the orchard behind his house, which almost blew over in a storm when we had a show with him. He almost lost the ladder, the 2.5 story ladder that was outside. It came off the side of the house. Oh shit, guys! I'll wait. I'll deal with that later. He played it off really well after the show. He took off to find out what happened.
Yeah, he's shipping, and Mike Root should be shipping pretty soon. So, which is good. I like it that these smaller businesses are able to ship directly because you get to get their stuff that you would have to hunt for and do favors and unsavory things to get your whiskey.
True. James, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in here at the end. Appreciate that. Woo. I switched over to, I don't even know what I grabbed. There's a cast strength on. Oh, no. Bourbon Rubenesque. And wine and spirits. Oh, it was a store pick. It's barrel proof, so probably bottled and bond version. Is what I got going on out here.
Oh, that's when I sent you a long time ago.
It's still here. I have a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I just started handing them out at points. So, Emily's been taking days off. Well, you got to do that for yourself. Need some days.
Yes. Take some me time.
Definitely. Just like take some time by the fire with a whiskey by yourself.
Yeah.
Or just by a fire. But when you're doing it, remember,
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. Only you can prevent wildfires.
I just think it works better with Sam Elliott.
It works pretty good with Sam Elliott.
I have a hard time not arguing with him.
They should say, don't do gender reveal parties near the woods. Dipshits.
I know there's at points where people get fined for that. I'm like, but at some point that you can't, it's outside the realm of monetary,
Yeah.
culpability. But yes, I feel like you should pay if you're the one that caused something like that. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
9 out of 10 wildfires.
That was just a hot hand. That was a hot hand on that one. Sorry, everyone.
Just want to make sure everybody gets it.
Yeah, just don't end up like that dude from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, stopping on Wednesday, we're gonna have more in depth, a little more in depth show. We're gonna be reviewing some blind wheat whiskeys with Kevin. It's going to be fantastic. That's one I'm really looking forward to. Jump in for that one. Then, like you heard the rest of the list for this month, it's gonna get maybe one or two bigger, and Brandy month is going to be super excited. Get ready for that one. So, till Wednesday. Remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Go watch Whiskey Crusaders tonight.
Yes. Watch Whiskey Crusaders.
Watch the Crusaders.